Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. How did a business permanently lose you as a customer? I had been a Wells Fargo account holder for 13 years. I started with a joint account with my parents as a teenager, and later opened my own accounts and closed the joint account. My brother also had a joint account. My brother also had a joint account with my parents that he later closed when he opened his own account. He didn't really use his account with them, and it was sitting empty. Fast forward to me being in law school and broke as a joke, and my brother's account overdrawn because of some fees they were hitting it with. Wells Fargo decided to pull money from my almost empty account to cover my brother's overdrawn account. The only link between my account and his, that we both, at some point in our lives, had joint accounts with my parents, even though they were both now closed. Wells Fargo was wholly uninterested in listening to any sort of reason, and repeatedly stated that this was their policy, despite the absurdity. My brother reimbursed me, but I closed my account and have refused to do business with Wells Fargo on any level since. Wells Fargo accidentally withdrew $120 from my account and gave it to another customer, then put it back. It cost me $300 in overdraft fees. They agreed to undo $133 overdraft fee. They said that I was responsible for knowing how much money was in my account. I was being responsible. The $120 wasn't even shown on my online banking. I had to meet with a banking manager and have him log in as a manager for it to even show up on the screen. I walked out of there without an account any longer, and I'll never fucking touch that bank again. You should file a complaint to the KEFB. That's so fucked up and egregious. Yay, there's a million stories about small account holders getting screwed over unfairly. A million verified complaints to a regulatory body would be a lot harder to ignore. I know the systems aren't perfect and sometimes there's really obvious lying or indifference, but it's a good first step. What the actual fuck? Wells Fargo is absolutely awful. I worked for them at their call center back in 2012, 2013. I only lasted 10 months. That company is so evil. I was never more depressed at a job in my life. My grandparents bought stock for me when I was born. I don't remember what company, but it ended up being sold to Wells Fargo. I looked into liquidating the stock about 15 years ago, but I didn't have the stock certificates or whatever paperwork needed to sell, so it just sits there. Wells Fargo is now worth practically nothing. Every quarter they send me a check for about $1.25. They send paperwork for me to get automatic deposit, but I'm not interested in giving them access to my account. If I don't cash the checks, they resend them. I get a little satisfaction knowing that they probably pay more to create and send the checks than they're worth. Why, but this pleases me very much. I worked for a company that did contract work for them and other banks. We dropped them as soon as we could. Terrible practices and policies. We stayed with credit unions and BOA is also a shitty company. My husband and I opened a joint account through BOA years ago. Last year I lost my debit card and called to get it reissued. While on the phone with the rep, I asked if I still had an active savings account from like 15 years ago. He found it and all seemed well until he suddenly started calling me by my maiden name when finalizing the card's reissue. Somehow he changed my name back to my maiden name and refused to acknowledge that that wasn't the name on the current account or card or the name he had just been calling me a few minutes prior. I had to go down to the bank to get it straightened out, only to find out that our account was now listed as my husband being the primary holder and me, an authorized user, and I couldn't make any change without him present. I still don't understand how one call center rep could do so much damage so quickly. What did the policy say? Bakes, that sounds like stealing to me. Yeah, I work for a bank, and that sounds illegal as fuck. I'm an attorney for a bank, and it's 100% illegal. It's Wells Fargo. It being illegal as fuck is not gonna stop them. They are truly the scummiest major bank in the US. One of their execs is testifying in front of Congress, like every other year, about the latest illegal bullshit they got caught doing. Had Wells years ago, and one day, while I was checking my statements, I saw a fee from them that was roughly $3. While running errands, I stopped by asked what the deal was. They said I hadn't used my card X amount of times that month, so they put a fee, but they were nice enough to reverse it. I asked why they had such a fee, and surely they should already be making money from investing the money in my account, especially in today's age, where a savings account yields what is effectively a rounding error. I asked why the onus should be on me to contest an erroneous charge, and the poor girl obviously had no response. It's not like it's her fault, her bosses are criminals. Ended up pulling what was roughly a tank and closing account. The manager asked what the reason was for, and I basically told them I'm not banking with a criminal organization and talking my money to the local credit union, which also happened to be 50-50 away. Credit hit was worth it. Wells can gargle my vinegary sake. To clear up a few things, when the credit hit was because I closed my credit card with Wells when withdrawing from them. I was fairly young, around 20, so I just wanted to be done with them for good. Ultimately, the credit hit was trivial. 2. I'm sure they could jam to some unethical B's in their terms of service, like hidden fees. Doesn't mean you can't be critical of the policy. Also doesn't mean it's necessarily legal. Do you think if that fee was $10,000 and buried behind 40 pages of legal jargon that it would hold up in court? 3. My sack retains the ability to become extra vinegary in a scenario in which it can be gargled by a dishonorable entity. It by no means indicates that it is in a perpetual state of such condition. It's rare to see someone who's kind enough not to blame to customer support. Same reason why I'm trying to get away from being a customer support, while there are guys like you who knows that we're not the one to be blamed. Majority still blamed us for any issues, price increase which is out of our control. Working with Atuverse as a billing and tech support is probably the worst year of my career. I would have dragged their lawyers' asses to small claims court. I'm petty AF and enjoy every second of being petty, making that time absolutely free for me. I will not hesitate to drop $150 in fees to recoup $37. See, you sue to cover the legal fees too, because if they were in the wrong, they owe you that too. Gasp. You mean this Wells Fargo? I can't ever imagine such a reputable company as this being involved in such duplicity. Director. They let you buy any movie or channel package online or with a remote, but if you want to cancel something, you have to call into their 1-800 number. After sitting on hold forever and then having to sit through a bunch of offers on other channels and packages, I just cut the cord. Auto Trader Online. Bought a car out of state and they never transported it. They also never handled the paperwork. Seller and I had to do it all ourselves. Weeks of phone calls with Auto Trader ending in, "We promise." Doing that now, just shipped. You should hear from them within X hour. 2 months. Nothing. Never again, Auto Trader. I don't believe your lies. Thank goodness Seller was a decent human. I listed my car with them, who got nothing but attempted scams. No, I'm not going to ship the car with your excess payment. That scam is well known. The one with the fake website offering Vine reports isn't as well. No, but pretty damned obvious. So, no, I'm not going to enter account info there. It was $50 down the crapper. The $5 one on Craigslist worked much better. I ordered carryout from a French restaurant in Pittsburgh early in the pandemic. The order was around $120. I gave them my PayPal debit card number. When I got to the restaurant, I added a bottle of water, which changed the amount I owed to, say $127. So they processed the 2 orders for a total of $247, which I did not realize until sometime the next week. It took over a month to get my first $120 returned to me. The owner of the shop could not have been any nastier, saying it was my fault. Never have I ever gone back there. SiriusCom called me to get me to renew my subscription. Here's how the convo went. Me. I haven't used it in so long I didn't even know I had a subscription. You can go ahead and cancel it. SiriusCom Repo. Ok, your credit card on file is expired. So for you to cancel your subscription, we need your updated credit card info so we can charge you for the last month of service and the cancellation fee. Me. Wait, so you want me to give you my credit card info so you can charge me to cancel your service, which I just told you I'm not using? SiriusCom Rep. Yes, that's right, me. And if I don't give you my credit card info, you have no way to charge me? SiriusCom Rep. Yes, that's right. Me. Leo no. Goodbye. Vivid Seats. I purchased a floor ticket for a concert and was sent a mezzanine, 2nd floor, ticket, and unfortunately didn't notice till I got to the concert. Obviously, floor tickets were way more expensive than the ticket I received. Vivid Seats refused to refund me because the seller fulfilled my order. Apparently it doesn't matter if you don't get what you pay for. I filed a charge back with my credit card and just found out this morning that I won. I won't ever be using them again. Customer service was horrible. Yeah, I bought tickets from them and then everything was cancelled due to COVID. No refund. A class action has been filed about this, so I'm hoping to get my back at some point. I had this issue. Rattan concert rescheduled due to COVID twice over 2 years. No refund given. Was told I'd have to resell my tickets. What? The lead singer fucked up his leg, so they finally cancelled the tour. I was heartbroken, but they finally gave me the refund. 27 years ago, there was a little Italian restaurant in Greenwich Village in New York City. We had a friend who was on tour with an entertainment act, and whenever he would pass through New York, we would all get together with him for dinner. He was coming through the city late one night. We couldn't start dinner with him until 10:00 p.m. This was not good for my wife and me, as she was in her first trimester and waiting. That late for dinner was not good for her stomach. My wife and I had an early dinner in the city, saw a movie, and then met our friends at this Italian restaurant. We decided that since we were not hungry, we would buy all the appetizers for the whole table. There were about 12 of us. We also said we would not be ordering an entree. We were told that this was unacceptable, and I asked to see the owner. The owner came over and informed us it was the policy of the restaurant that we must order an entree regardless of how many appetizers we purchased. I protested, pointing out that I had ordered over $100 in appetizers and I could get 2 entrees for $15 each. This idiot would not budge. So I cancelled the appetizer order and purchased 2 lasagnas instead. I then requested that the entrees be packaged for takeout, as neither my wife nor I were hungry in the least. I was once again informed that the entree must be presented at the table before being boxed to takeout. Neither we nor any of our friends ever set foot in there again. I had a client in the village 4 months later, and I walked past that restaurant. It was boarded up. Good riddance. Sounds like they weren't doing well and had entered the nickel and dime, anyone who walks in the door phase of the downward spiral. Reminds me of a time I tried to eat at a fancy place in Denver. Me and friends from high school were there for a trip, and we went there to take my friend for a birthday treat. They didn't understand that we were from out of state, and didn't understand that they forced a minimum $50 order per person, and we were clearly under 18. There were 12 of us when we got there and were seated. Many of us couldn't afford more than $25. We explained to the host we could only afford what we could afford, and the host said that was okay. We went, okay, thank you. We looked at the menu, and there were plenty of items that were $12, or 20 of items that we could afford. So we ordered those items. While we were waiting and talking, suddenly 3 giant appetizer plates came out and were set on our table. I was smart enough to ask if these were complimentary, and the waiter said no. I asked to have the host come over, and the host came over, and I asked about it. And the host had forced these 3 appetizer plates on us, which were $85 apiece. We got up without eating anything, after standing in line for an hour to get in, and then sitting there for 30 minutes, and went across the street and ate Subway. It was a very disappointing birthday party. Glassdoor. They're fucked. Make you leave a review to read reviews. On top of that, they delete reviews posted by employees. I just want to know if the company I'm applying for is a hellhole. That's it. Happened to me, so I created a bogus profile claiming I worked for Glassdoor and left a bad review for them saying to not force accounts, and then viewed reviews to my heart's content. Glassdoor has really gone downhill. I recently tried signing into it for the first time in a while, and it's not letting me continue until I set up a communities profile. I don't want to do that, and I just want to look at job listings and rating. It doesn't need to become a social network. But at it, I had the weirdest situation. We had to transfer our landline to their new service, but still at it. It took over 21 days to get it working, and I called them every single day. No joke. They would say the same stuff, we'll reset the system. I decided to cancel it, then said, well, you need to pay for the cancellation fee. I'm like, but you guys lagged so long that it made me cancel. Did not budge at all and said, well, you missed the deadline. Cancelled. At it internet, phone, cable. Cancelled. At it business, internet, phone, cancelled. At it mobile, I understand. I'm just a number and won't bring down their business. But you ain't getting another dime edited. Didn't realize the hate. I thought this only happened to me, lol. Love the story, spent about half an hour reading it. I'm currently with Askreddit, which still gave me issues, but I've not screwed that much yet. They are currently charging me to 2 lines I did not approve and did not request. They have charged me for 2 phones that I didn't order, didn't receive. They verified were never activated, and they see were never ordered or requested. The employees said it was insane and helped me file fraud reports. Utter said it wasn't fraud. Employee helped me file a second claim. Employee helped me file a second claim. A TIFT said they were going to report me for attempted fraudulent activity. I told them to please do that so I could show all of the email communications of me reporting all of these things. Employee trying to help couldn't believe it. I asked about cancelling the phone lines I didn't order. They said it would make my bill go up $30 a month. As soon as I'm physically able, I'm going to hire an attorney.
Yes, we're just numbers, but someone is scamming a lot of people and getting away with it.
Back in the day, when Attit held a monopoly, there were people who made a living auditing Attit bills. Companies would regularly find they were still being charged for lines and equipment disconnected years before. I'm not your attorney. If this happened as you described, seek out a consumer protection attorney. Many are likely to be interested in a case like this. They work on a contingent fee, so there will be no upfront payment necessary. I had it back when you had to pay for your long-distance calls by the minute. I had a rate of 10 cents per minute, which was a decent rate at the time. One month they sent a flyer to my apartment that was literally junk mail advertising, but also contained some printed text that said I was agreeing to a 25 cent per minute rate if I did not return the ad to them, or call them, or something. They literally sent junk mail with an illegal contract contained in it. I called when I saw the rate had changed, and my bill was $30 higher than it would have been. They refused to refund the money and swore up and down that they were not at fault, even though there were other companies currently being sued for the same fraudulent scheme. I cancelled my account with them and have never had another Attis service or product of any kind since. They lost tens of thousands of dollars of my money over the years to scam me out of $30. I have never used them for phone, cell phone, cable, or internet since this happened, and I don't intend to. Attit, hands down, has the most horrific customer service. It took me 37 hours of phone calls and 2 store visits to resolve an issue.
Not my best moment.
But I turned into a full-on Karen in the store yelling, full-on crying to just get some resolution and not one reaction. Last time I went to Panera, it was $40 for 2 of us. My soup had no solids in it. My sandwich had a pitiful amount of ingredients. The employees were rude off as if we inconvenienced them by walking in the door. Never again, Panera. I'll never go there again because they almost killed me with a bacon turkey bravo. Food poisoning so bad I thought I was going to die and was too sick to call for help if I did. I called the manager to report and he threatened to sue me for slander and libel. Reported to county health authorities, not to the manager. A local chicken place made my aunt and nephew sick. I called to tell them that we didn't want anything, just a heads up that their food made people sick. The owner was so incredibly rude that I called the health department. I got a call within an hour from the inspector that the place had been shut down due to numerous violations. It was quite a while before they reopened. I hope you stopped back in to ask him how he enjoyed his vacation. I went to Panera the other day and got their pick 2 deal. Came out to $27. Panera's food is fucking awful, especially for how expensive it is. I don't think I've ever had a remotely decent meal at one, which is baffling to me because how do you fuck up something as easy as soups and sandwiches? Panera is going through the hedge fund extraction process right now. A bunch of boss cutting corners and driving the business into the ground. Panera used to be good. A bit pricey for a soup and sandwich, but not all that bad really. And the quality was worth it. Then they bumped the prices. Then they revamped the menu, bumped the prices again. Lowered the quality of their food, bumped their prices again. Now that soup, sandwich and drink cost $20, I'm not really even getting the sandwich I want and it all tastes a bit off. I like eating out too much to be honest, but Panera is just no longer worth my money. Back in the day, I wanted to buy the Chrono Trigger port for D, so I went to the local mom and pop game store. When I asked for it, the clerk laughed at me for even asking it because there's no way I would find one in town without a pre-order. Left that store and went to Walmart and they were fully stocked. I went back and showed it to him and told him he's an idiot and that he had lost a customer for treating me like an idiot. Some of those mom and pop game shops are the worst. I went into one who would rent out tables to play board games on for $10 in a town where anyone with a pulse could reserve entire classrooms at the local college for free. Hell, most of the times you didn't even have to reserve a room and could simply walk into an empty room when classes weren't in session. Hertz for claiming their cars were stolen and then getting warrants placed on said car renters. When my car had the hood replaced under warranty, the dealer gave me a rental through the local enterprise office. I guess they scheduled 3 days, but the work took 10 days, so when I finally returned, the rental enterprise said, "Oh yeah, we were wondering when you'd return." I could have had that car on a ship to China, and no one would have said anything. Target stopped me at the door. They thought they saw me putting products in my pocket. Knowing there was nothing whatsoever in my pockets, I let them do the whole rigmarole before turning my pockets and revealing I was putting my fucking cell phone back in my pocket. People have fucking pockets. You don't need to accuse people loudly in front of other guests unless you're absolutely sure. Can't they get in trouble for stopping and falsely accusing someone of theft? Yes. Additionally, store staff, even managers, are not allowed to stop suspected shoplifters, even if they set off the alarm at the door on the way out. The only person in that store who is allowed to detain you for any reason is their loss prevention officer. The cashier who rang you up, the employee who checks receipts at the door, the shift manager, the store manager, the district manager, not even the president of the company are allowed to stop you for suspected shoplifting without a loss prevention officer present. If you set off the alarm because a cashier failed to deactivate an inventory control tag, you are legally within your right to keep walking. They are not allowed to follow you out of the store unless it's their store's loss prevention officer. Source: worked as retail for a decade. Reminded me of a story that happened to one of my co-workers. I worked at Lofi's and our employees regularly visited the Home Depot across the street to check prices on identical products for price matching purposes and for keeping our prices lower. One of our employees used a breathing apparatus, 247, with a machine in a backpack and a tube that went under his nose. One day he was leaving the Home Depot and his pack set off their alarm at the door. He was detained by management, not legal, but he complied. However, he refused to allow anyone to check his backpack that contained only his breathing machine. They said he would have to wait for a police officer to arrive. So he did. The cop checked his backpack, saw nothing had been stolen, and went on his way. That Home Depot compensated my co-worker with $1,000 gift card for falsely accusing him, and I assumed to prevent a lawsuit. My friend is a loss prevention officer at a big box store. He said he can only approach you and ask you to stop while threatens to call law enforcement. He can't touch you, the store property, cart, or the merchandise for liability purposes. So, funny story, when I was in middle school, me and one of my buddies decided to steal a pack of baseball cards each from a local big box store. We were total idiots and didn't realize the loss prevention dude was basically right on top of us when we put them in our pockets. We casually made our way to the door, then sprinted down the sidewalk as soon as we got outside. The loss prevented guy shouted for us to stop and come back, and we did. He later told us that never worked before. Me and my buddy learned that day that we're not made for a life of crime. Loss prevented guy shouted for us to stop and come back, and we did. He later told us that never worked before. This is so fucking funny. Kroger recently got accused of shoplifting while using the self-scan checkout when a bag of tortilla chips wouldn't ring up. I pressed the assistance needed option to ask for help to ring it up, and the employee came over. Instead of just looking up the item for me, they sat for 5 minutes watching the video recording from the self-scan, then asked me, "So you're playing games?" Huh? Yes, I called you over specifically to help ring up an item I wanted to steal. Sorry, but this made me laugh pretty hard. Sounds like something that would be on a Key Peel skit. Same lao. So you're playing games. You like bitch, I need help. So you're playing games, huh? I said B-G-E-H. I'm imagining Key as a substitute teacher berating someone at a self-checkout.
Fire.
At K. Roger, I called for assistance because my drink wouldn't ring up at Publix. The employee came over and looked at the error. They just put it in my bag and said, "You're good." That's great customer service. The employees steal, so you don't even have to. Haha, that happened to me once at Walgreens. Young guy forgot to scan my drink and I already paid. I offered to buy it, and he said no, it's fine, and put it in my bag. Happened to me at Home Depot once with about $250 worth of lumber. I think mostly because the older middle-aged employees scanning everything didn't want to couldn't bend down and get the rest. Paid about $160 for $460 for $400 worth of lumber. Try Woolworths in Australia. They have started installing cameras at the self-checkouts that look for things in your shopping trolley and won't allow you pay if it detects things in the trolley until the attendant comes and checks. Problem is, it detects children and handbags as unscanned items. Woolworths saw the opening for The Simpsons and thought, yay, that makes sense. Scan the child. Self-checkouts in general piss me the fuck off sometimes. I can't fathom the rage I feel when I hear please place item in the bagging area, 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 please place item in the bagging area. Assistance is on the way. And then you're left standing wondering what to do when no assistance is on the way because there's only one employee working the regular line at night, and whoever is supposed to be self-checkout attendant is Mia. Me and my partner used to go to this one diner all the time before we moved. Really good food and good service. After moving back to the area, we decided to get a meal. We were seated and then waited. A random busboy saw us looking not served, so he brought us water. We saw one waitress and she was on the phone. After a couple more minutes, the same busboy saw us looking confused and told us that the woman on the phone was our waitress. We were like, oh, oak. After a couple more minutes, the busboy went over to the waitress and we heard him tell her that she had customers. 5 more minutes went by. She didn't even glance in our direction, and we got up and left. Since then, we've never felt like going back, and we used to eat there all the time. Bless that busboy's heart, he tried low. I would give myself a promotion and served at table. My father, AI, had been going to a local restaurant regularly for over a decade. At least 3 of the servers we knew by name, and they knew us by name. One evening we went there and had a server we'd never seen before. We had to wait a long time for everything, including refills on water. At one point my father got the server's attention. Server acknowledged with direct eye contact, a nod, then a turn to another direction. A few minutes passed by. Eventually we got our check by asking either another server or the host directly. When my father paid, he left a note saying something like, "Here's a tip, pay attention to me." About a month later, I was there with a friend of mine. One of the servers who knew me by name had our table. She greeted us with, "Oh my God, what happened to you? What happened to you, your dad last time? You were here." We continued going there for years and never had any other issues. Wells Fargo. They held a mortgage on our house. We had paid on time, every time for many years. I lost my job. Wife stayed employed. Continued to pay uninterrupted for those 8 months. New job was 25% increase over previous job and was in the same field. About 3 months after I got my new job, the interest rates dropped and we decided to refinance. They would not refinance us because I did not have at least 6 months of steady employment. They already held the loan. I made more money than ever before. Both my wife and I were employed. I had about 50% equity. Our retirement accounts were enough to pay the house 8x over, and they would not work with us. We left for a credit union. When we called to get the payoff amount for the refi, they tried to keep our business. Screw 'em. Never again. Dollar Rent-A-Car has the most insane policies ever, and people with the mental capacity of a saltine cracker working in the customer service department. Never again. I'll walk to a Dick's Sporting Goods and buy myself a pair of skate to get where I want to go before ever renting a car from them again. I rented a car from them back in December. I wanted to extend my rental, so I tried calling the customer service line. The main line couldn't assist, and I was unable to reach the pickup location directly. I had to drive over an hour to the location to secure the car and extra day. The following day, while I was driving to return the car, their customer service line called, accusing me of auto theft. It was a lot of fun when I returned to the airport with all paperwork in hand, showing I had extended the rental. I owned a 2000 Dodge Caravan Dodge. Will never get another dime of my money. A local restaurant we used to love pissed us off so badly we will never go back. A small group of us were waiting for a table, but it was a 45-minute wait in a crowded vestibule at the tail end of COVID, so we opted to wait in the car. They had one of those systems where they text you when your table becomes available. We got the text and were at the hostess stand at most 2 minutes after getting the text, all ready to check in. The hostess said since we took more than 5 minutes that she gave our table away, but we could put our name in again and be at the bottom of the line. We even showed her the phone that received the text to prove it hadn't been 5 minutes yet. Their system had about a 7-minute delay on their end, but they refused to try to accommodate us. Screw them. Won't waste another minute or a dime at that place ever again. Went to like Supercuts or one of the other dime, a dozen guys' haircut places, write my name down, wait 45 minutes, go up to ask how much longer of a wait. They say they called my name and I didn't come, so they took me off the list. Didn't hear my name once. Figured, oh well, shit happens. A week later. Try again. Same thing. Decided fuck that place. Geff comes home that night, and a local barbershop boutique coffee shop just opened and placed a $10 off thing under her windshield wiper. Fuck it. Schedule an appointment, fellas. Let me tell you, if you're still going to a chain that ends in clips or cuts, then knock it off. Haircut was $10 more before the coupon, but it was the works. Mostly shears, little use of clippers, a little neck massage to work the lather in when they used a straight razor on the back of my neck, and a shampoo after went back 6 weeks later, and the barber remembered me, asked if I wanted the same thing, and replicated it. No explaining needed on my part. Every single visit was, you want something different. No. Okay, let's do this. Years of rapport and getting what I wanted every time. The place has since expanded. New location is about to have a bar, restaurant, rooftop lounge, all in addition to everything else. All you could ask for under one roof. Quality of service hasn't diminished in the slightest. So not only did one company lose me for life, another one gained me for life. I even bought the suit I got married in from them. Plus 10% of their profits go to a charity helping struggling young men, which makes me feel even better giving them my business. A good barber is always worth it. I lived in Michigan and was driving with my 2 young kids in northern Ohio. We drove through a construction zone and wound up getting 2 flat tires at the same time. Called IR. Sorry, you're out of state. We can't help you. This was before smartphones. It was below zero outside. They wouldn't even call a tow truck for me. A very kind Ohio highway patrolman stopped and took care of us. Cheeves lied and put my health at risk. I asked my doctor to call in a refill to Kevsies, and Chevy's texts me informing that they've received the prescription and will text me again when it's ready for pickup. After about 4 days, it was getting pretty close to time for me to take my medication, so I call them asking about the status. They explicitly tell me it will be ready tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, I call, still not ready. Every day for 2.5 weeks, I call them asking for a status, and they keep telling me it will be ready tomorrow or it will be ready in 2 days. By this point, I'm ridiculously late taking my dose, and I'm starting to experience uncomfortable side effects or withdrawal. I didn't simply give up and go to another pharmacy, yet because it can take about 4 days to get a prescription from the time I call my doctor to the time I can go pick it up, and if Curves is going to be ready tomorrow, I'd rather not wait. I finally get fed up and ask what was up. I was pushy over the phone this time and asked for more details and to speak to more people, which is rare for me because I'm very passive. I finally got someone else on the phone, and they told me that they no longer carry the medication I need, so a couple weeks ago, they'd messaged my doctor asking what a good alternative would be. My doctor never responded. I know that there is no alternative. I also know that if my doc hasn't responded by now, he's never going to. I have to simply go to another pharmacy now, which I could have done this whole time if Sieves had just been honest with me. Man fuck Sevs, I heard they treat their employees like shit, and that they are utter cheapskates when it comes to technology too, which is why working with them feels like living in the dinosaur age. Metronet came to my area. Fuck you, Spectrum. I have new fiber being laid in my neighborhood. Can't wait to call and cancel my Spectrum. Got an impromptu craving for ice cream, so turned into DQ. Took forever, and then, when I was at the window, I watched my ice cream sitting there, melting, while the manager was straight up berating and cursing the other employees.
No, thank you.
That would have had me searching online for who owns that location and reporting it. They might do nothing, but I'd feel better. One local bank was bought out by a bigger bank. They upped the minimum balance, so I went to close my account. I believe the account was closed when I left. Instead of closing my account, they simply emptied it when they paid me. Because they didn't actually close the account, I was paid a small amount of interest. The following month I received a statement showing interest was paid, less than $1, and because I was below the minimum balance, they hit me with a fee. Because the fee was larger than the amount in the account, they hit me with a fee for being overdrawn. An account I closed. This happened for 3 more months. The first time I went back to the bank, I was nice believing it to be a simple mistake that could easily be fixed. The next month I went back, I was very stern. Finally, the last month, I raised absolute hell, shouting loudly in the bank and explaining to them that I was filing a complaint with my state's Attorney General office and federal banking regulators. I am an easygoing guy, but I'm not afraid to be an asshole when pushed too far. As a young man, I took out a Progressive insurance policy over the phone when I purchased a used car. A month later, they raised my rates quite a bit because my previous car insurance wasn't in my name. I switched insurance carriers to someone that offered more reasonable rates, so Progressive sent me to collections saying that I had made a 6-month obligation to be insured through them. That wasn't disclosed to me over the phone, and I never told them that I had insurance in my name previously. I challenged with the bureaus and won, but to this day I still won't fuck with Progressive. T-Mobile deleted voicemails from my deceased mom and wouldn't recover them for me. For anyone who is worried about this happening to them, email the voicemails you want to save to yourself. Download them on your PC and put them on a flash drive as extra insurance. I just did this with my dad's voicemails. Edit. For those who lack reading comprehension and want to take this comment about storing my dead dad's voicemails as a moment to be smug and tell me I'm stupid for storing my dead father's voicemails on a flash drive, I said as extra insurance and you're vile scum. The step-by-step process is: 1. Download the voicemails to your phone's storage system archives. That's one mode of storage. 2. Email the voicemails to yourself. That's 2. 3. Download the voicemails on your pad. Stay with me here. You can do it. That's 3. 4. Download copies of the voicemails to a flash drive as extra insurance. We did it. That's 4. Those were a lot of words and numbers. I'm proud of you. Penny's my fiancée ordered me a sapphire necklace for an anniversary present a few years ago. They accidentally shipped 2 brass instead of the necklace. I contacted customer service, thinking I'd just ship back the brass and they could resend my necklace. Nope. They refused to send me a prepaid shipping label. They refused to resend me a new necklace, even though I provided proof we got the wrong order. They also refused to refund my fiancée. They told me they wouldn't refund us unless we drove an hour each way to the store to return it in person or pay ourselves to ship it back. Could we have done either? Absolutely, but it was a matter of principle. I, as the customer, refused to be inconvenienced because someone else fucked up. A Quiznos manager aggressively hit on my wife. If Quiznos would come back to my town, I'd whore my husband out to them. He would understand. Not my story, but when I was working at Taco Bell, a man called us to say that we didn't add sour cream to his item. He said, "You mark this day on your calendar, because I am never coming back." Taco Bell has never recovered from him leaving. Rippy. I like to imagine every year to the day that Taco Bell has a mandatory moment of silence. Today's August 15th, the day we lost Greg Sanderson as a customer. Local pizza place near my house. They have a 13-year-old working the front. Got pizza from them regularly for a few months. Then 5 times in a row, my order was messed up because the kid entered the wrong info from the website. Last time it happened, I arrived just on time for my pizza to be ready. They said they just put it in the oven. 15 minutes pass, and they hand me a box with a burnt Sicilian pizza in it, saying they're sorry. I didn't order Sicilian. They scraped a bunch of slices from the counter up into a box and gave it to me, along with the Sicilian. The burnt Sicilian was better than the decrepit counter slices. Glad I quit going there too. There's a shop even closer that I found that has the best pizza I've ever had. Actually waiting on one from them right now. I feel like as people started discussing Karen types more, a lot more folks started thinking that it's Karen behavior to politely expect what you paid for. There's no reason why someone should get the death glare for saying, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but this isn't my order, this is really burnt it. Could you please remake this?" When the Utah legislature was considering raising the alcohol limit of beer for sale on tap and in grocery stores to be in line with the rest of the country, Red Rock Brewing spoke out against the increase. The owner essentially said his patrons couldn't be trusted with the increase and would overconsume if the limit was raised from 3.2% ABU to 5% ABU to 5% ABU. This brewery had multiple bottles, beers, well above that 8-10% ABU. Since I can't be trusted to understand how much I can drink, he can't be trusted with my money anymore. Red Rock had some great beers, but I avoid them specifically because their owner is a complete idiot. Walmart harassed me over a receipt. I showed them the receipt, but that wasn't enough for them. They wanted to go down the freaking list, check every item and waste my damn time. I told them to fuck off and never went back. I don't like shopping at stores that assume every customer is a thief. Went to have dinner with my wife at a restaurant I'd been going to since I was a little kid. Finished dinner, ordered soft serve cones, took one bite of my cone and it was sour. Went up to the counter and told the employee that I think the ice cream was bad and asked how often they clean the machines. In my state it's required to be cleaned daily. He said, I can't remember, probably a couple weeks. I said I'd like a refund because the ice cream tastes bad, and he held out his hand to take the cone. I handed it to him, and without any hesitation, he took a huge bite of it and swallowed. Then said, tastes fine to me. We left and never went back. I always thought that stuff was funny because you could ignore every word from their mouth and walk out. Legally, they cannot stop or detain you. The employees' looks on their face are like you just killed Walmart's baby. And I don't give two fucks.